So now, were you ever curious about how high-tech startups are leading the industry to new levels? So for now, we have our startup Expo for startups, and they are going to present to a jury composed of three people that are industry fellows as well. So now we have presenting Max Jamilly, co-founder at Hoxton Farms, Ranjan Patnaik, Chief Technology Officer at Clara Foods, Yuki Hanyu, CEO at Integriculture. Yuki, we know that it's the middle of the night for you, so thank you for making the time to be here with us. Nicolas Morin-Forest, co-founder at Gourmey. And our mentors today are Paige Omura, VC at Rhapsody Ventures Partners, Alejandro Zabarain, founder and CEO at Shokworks Inc, and Dr. Sebastian Dreher, venture manager at DöhlerGroup. Our host today is Sujala Balaji, founder and CEO at Rainfed Foods. So Sujala, please take it from here.
Thanks, Anna. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining here. It's my absolute pleasure hosting the Startup Expo today. I hope everyone's been having a great day at the symposium. First, I would like to call on Max from Hoxton Farms to pitch your startup.
Thanks, Sujala. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm just queuing up my slides.
Okay.
And can you see those?
Starting. Yes.
Fantastic. Great. So, well, thanks for the intro, both of you, and it's really great to be here with some familiar faces and some new ones too. So, yeah, hi, I'm Max Jamilly. I'm the co-founder of Hoxton Farms here in London. So the world is hungry, but we know that the meat industry is broken. It's a $1.3 trillion industry, or maybe more, but it's killing us, it's killing the planet, and 2020 showed us how global food security is at an all-time low. At the same time, we know that demand for plant-based meat is soaring, but plant-based meat still has a really long way to go. And that's because it's missing one key ingredient, which is fat. So the plant-based meat industry right now has a big fat problem. And that's because plant oils aren't very good at their job. They have a bad taste, they're greasy, and they're often unsustainable as well. Compare that to animal fats, which are delicious, versatile, and functional. They're the real thing, and they're really the secret to delicious meat. And that's where we come in. At Hoxton Farms, we grow real cell-based animal fat, just without the animals. We're selling cultivated fat as a B2B ingredient to the meat alternatives industry, starting with plant-based meat, so that we can finally make meat alternatives that look, cook, and taste just as good as the real thing, if not even better. And why fat? At Hoxton Farms, we're seriously obsessed with fat, and that's with good reason. It's the single most important sensory component of all the meat that we eat, whether it's prized cuts like jamon iberico, or a simple hamburger or chicken breast. It's the fat that makes meat delicious. We've shown that adding just a small amount of real animal fat to plant-based protein totally transforms the product. And our early customers, the plant-based meat companies, tell us just how desperately they need a replacement for plant oils. And that's where we come in. So to do it, we take a harmless handful of cells from an animal and we grow them in a bioreactor. We program the cells to turn them into fat tissue. And after a few weeks, we harvest that tissue. Plant-based meat companies combine our fat with plant-based protein to make incredible hybrid meat alternatives. Who are we? I'm Max, I'm a synthetic biologist, like I said, and my co-founder, Ed, is a mathematician. We met 25 years ago at elementary school. And here in London, we're building an amazing interdisciplinary team of stem cell biologists, engineers, and food scientists. And what we do combines really machine learning and optimization with synthetic biology to build incredible models that totally redefine the way we grow stem cells for cellular agriculture. These models describe the entire process from biopsy to bacon, and they're really what set us apart. They save us time and resources in R&D, but they also mean that once we reach scale, we can really be sure that we found the most efficient process out there. Even cooler still, the models we build let us customize the fat that we make for flavor, melting temperature, nutrition, and more. We're making fats that nature or evolution haven't even invented yet. And to me as a foodie, that's really exciting because we're really exploring a whole new world of ingredients that are out there waiting to be discovered. With all of this, we're leading a revolution into a $400 billion fats and oils market, helping transform the plant-based meat industry from a really small but growing segment of really burgers and sausages to a market that rivals traditional meat in all of its diversity, in every species, every recipe, every menu on the planet. We recently closed a $3.6 million seed round led by Founders Fund, and we're making awesome progress towards a proof of principle at our labs in central London with our amazing team of biologists and engineers. We're also hiring a stem cell biologist, so please do get in touch if you have any tips. Let's get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Max. Now I would like to invite our mentors to ask some questions. We'll have roughly 6 minutes for questions. Paige, Sebastian, anyone?
Sure, I can go ahead first. Great, thanks for presenting, Max. One question that I have is how do you kind of have the conversation around talking to your potential customers and having them pay for an ingredient that they might not already be prepared to pay for?
Hey, Paige, that's a great question. So central to the whole value proposition of cultivated ingredients is thinking about how what we make will affect the COGS of what our B2B customers make. And the interesting thing here is that they are already paying for something. They're paying for plant oils. And the premium plant oils that standout products you may know, like the Beyond Burger, currently use, are in fact pretty expensive. Coconut oil, for example, is wholesale about $6 to $8 per kilo, and that's for a product that doesn't really work very well. On top of that, there's a hidden component of COGS associated with plant oils, which is all the other flavorings and salt that you need to make up for the deficiencies of plant oils as an ingredient. And as well as adding to the cost of goods, that salt makes a product less healthy. It makes the label longer, and complex labels are kind of really the opposite of what these companies want. So adding cultivated fat, which is the real thing, enables you to lower costs by getting rid of all these other ingredients, and also improve your label, and of course improve the final performance of the product. So speaking to customers, we found kind of really good willingness to pay, even if initially the ingredient itself will cost a little bit more than the plant oils that we're replacing as we move down that cost curve and approach cost parity.
Max, this is Sebastian. Great presentation. I have a quick question for you regarding the timeline. So what's a rough timeline when you think you can be out there, and especially compared to all other cell-based companies? I mean, I guess you don't have the scaffolding issues. I guess you have a little bit of advantage because you're going more on the B2B ingredient. But what's the rough timeline, and compared to the 5 to 10 years that other companies put out there?
Thanks, Sebastian. We're being relatively tight-lipped on some of our timelines, like lots of companies out there. But what I can tell you is that, just like you totally correctly identified, making cultivated fat is a slightly faster route to scale than other technologies for a few reasons. First of all, growing muscle cells is really, really difficult. They need to be stretched and aligned, and there's this complicated cell fusion step as they mature. For the most part, fat cells don't need any of that. And that means you can grow them in a comparatively simpler bioreactor technology, which means we can use a lot of technology that's really already out there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with kind of fancy high density perfusion bioreactors or anything like that. The second thing is, just like you said, a really big portion of this is working out how to formulate a hybrid product. And plant-based meat companies are already pretty good at formulating products, including plant oils or kind of more exotic attempts at replicating animal fat. So a lot of the food science is in place already as well. That means that we really hope to have these products ready as MVPs and then eventually at the market, first at pilot and then manufacturing scale, significantly quicker than your standard cell ag timeline.
Max, the food scientist in me wants to ask a quick product question. So have you tested the MVP in different applications? I know you mentioned plant-based meat, but are there other applications where you might have tested, and is there a significant difference in the flavor profile depending on the application?
So awesome question. It's one of the things that excites me the most about this. We can tune the flavor profile in lots of ways, as well as nutrition and functional performance like binding and melting temperature and density. And that means that we can suit the flavor profile as well as these other things to the specific application. Plant-based meat is not in itself one application when you unpack it. There's high moisture extrusion, or maybe you're 3D printing your plant-based meat, or maybe you're making it out of fungal mycoprotein, and all of those need quite different kinds of fat. But within food, moving away from meat alternatives, there's bakery and confectionery, and of course alt dairy, and these all require subtly different kinds of fat and definitely different flavor profiles in the application, as well as different species, which is a whole separate discussion. Right. And then outside food, there are some interesting applications too.
Sorry, we have to stop this here, but quickly, do you have any asks you would like to put forth for the audience listening or anyone on the panel? And how can they get in touch with you?
So people can get in touch with me by my email, max@hoxtonfarms.com, or I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. And I'd love to speak to anyone who's interested in the future of food as we are. And like I mentioned, anyone who is or knows an awesome stem cell biologist, that would be great to hear from them too.
Perfect.
Thanks, Sujala.
Thank you, Max. I would like to invite Clara Foods next. Ranjan's here from Clara joining us today. Hi, Ranjan.
Hello. Let me know when you can see my slide. I'm trying to go to the, let's see. I think that, so should I be sharing the screen then?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Not yet. Yes, it's starting. Yeah, we can see it now. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again for the opportunity for ProteinX giving us this opportunity to discuss about what Clara Foods is doing in the space. I would like to first start by saying that we are a pretty diverse company with a lot of expertise coming from a very senior leadership that has deep experience in some of these areas of food and nutrition and scale up. And we have assembled an amazing team in Clara Foods. And I want to now talk a little bit about the mysteries of egg. I mean, egg is a very fascinating food for centuries and has been used massively, mainly because of its properties in various functional foods and many applications, as you see in this slide. And it has immense amount of impact on the food supply chain. One of the things that Clara Food is very interested is essentially the egg white portion of the egg. As you all know, eggs has two components, the egg white and also the yolk. And in Clara, an egg white is also a composition of a variety of proteins and water. And in Clara, what we're trying to do is essentially go after these egg white proteins and make them by fermentations. And as you also heard from the previous speaker, although there is a lot of movement in replacing animal proteins by plant source proteins, plant proteins by default or by experience, when we look at it, it cannot replace eggs. And it is not just about taste only where plant proteins fall short. In fact, the egg proteins, as you can imagine, based on their applications today in various end uses, there is a massive amount of functionality that is hiding within the egg that Clara Foods is essentially trying to tap into. And here is some data that it says that the plant-based eggs really cannot replace animal-derived eggs, and the same goes for milk. And this is why the plant substitutes is not able to make up for the lack of animal-sourced proteins like eggs. And this is where Clara comes into picture by generating these egg proteins exactly identical to the way they appear in eggs. And our platform is essentially, precision fermentations. What we are really doing is a very proprietary patented technology and yet very scalable, which is precision fermentations, which is without using any of the animals. And I want to slowly walk you through this process. And the first one is that, we take essentially the DNA that is exactly representative of the egg protein. And instead of the traditional conventional route where a chicken lays an egg and the shelled eggs are then processed in a variety of ways to make egg proteins, and the lower part of the curve is essentially the current process of accessing eggs through chickens. But Clara Foods has taken the approach about precision fermentations, where this exact identical protein sequence is cloned into yeast or other expression systems. And basically we are brewing, which is very well-known process. We are brewing egg proteins into using very traditional bioreactors and making the exact identical same protein with very similar properties, which can essentially be accessed to all the end-use applications. But now the key thing here is that we didn't use any animals or chickens in this process. So the other thing in this area of food is that food has to be cheap, food has to be accessible, and it has to be scalable. And to capitalize on these three aspects, Clara Foods have been very fortunate to be working with some of the leading investors or leading innovators in this field, like AB InBev and Ingredion, who help us close the value chain and basically make our technology and products reach the end customer. So here I'm going to talk about a little bit that what Clara Foods develops the platform technology and the know-how that drives this process. Our production de-risking in scale has been jointly being developed with AB InBev. And of course, we have partnerships with innovators like Ingredion, who are massive powerhouses in distribution and being able to scale our operations to make egg through Clara's process, reach the end customers in a much more cost-effective manner and much more timely manner. But obviously, one thing that needs to be discussed here, that as this new technology gets hold in the food ecosystem, there is a real need for getting talented folks who are interested, not only interested, but also see innovative ideas slowly come into this ecosystem over time. And this is why Clara is excited to say that we are continuously hiring so many varieties of competency skills to make this ecosystem survive better. So currently we have these areas where it would be great to have discussions around these openings and what do people think about that the competencies that would be value adding to a system like precision fermentation.
That's
so
amazing.
With that, I would close the presentation.
Sorry, we're running out of time here, but lots of job openings being presented in this Startup Expo. Thanks for the presentation. I would like to invite the mentors to ask some questions now.
So thank you so much for the presentation. This is Sebastian again. I remember 5 years ago I talked to Arturo in San Francisco. Congrats to the progress you guys have been making and the money you have been raising. Maybe you could speak a little bit about the regulatory side of things as you are further down the line with your company, especially how do you think about GMO, which I remember has been always a challenge, and now we have the ecosystem evolving. How do you feel about is that now set? What's your thinking about GMO and the regulatory and the labeling of the products?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. And I think with what we have been able to do, get self-GRAS already approved for one of our proteins. We have engaged a lot of external consultants and have filed for FDA GRAS notification that is still pending. but we have self-GRAS certification on 2 of our products already and are launching. And we see a lot of traction at the end use or in our stakeholders who clearly see that the final product is essentially bioequivalent to the natural product. But obviously, to your point, we are using, I would say, GMO yeast to make it. But I would say I don't see any major hurdle. And as the ecosystems develops, a lot of similar other products using precision fermentations are coming into play. So the acceptance level would be much higher.
So,
Alejandro, go ahead.
okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for presenting and congratulations on all the traction and all the amazing products you're building. My question is more, what's the current go-to-market at this stage and where do you plan to take it at scale?
Yeah, and then we have been very fortunate at Clara Foods to be pairing up with Ingredient, which is a pretty good innovative company. So that would help us take our innovation and our technology to scale through their distribution and sales channels. And we are constantly looking also to partner with other companies. Clearly being a small startup company, we are definitely going with our strategy being asset light and tapping into the ecosystem to make our ingredients go through those channels where there is a lot more resource that we can access. So that is what we have been successfully doing, at least in one of our proteins, and that's the model that we are following now.
This is Paige. Do you have any plans to out-license your technology in terms of the precision fermentation to other companies that might be doing cultured meat?
Excellent question. Yes, definitely. And that's exactly what we are trying to develop, that because of the fact that we have been so successful in improving the rates tighter and the scalability of our platform, we are intellectual property-wise protecting a lot of know-how and trade secrets packaged together. And of course, being a small company, we don't have all the resources yet, but our business development and licensing folks are actively looking to do exactly that. So that's excellent insight into what we are doing.
Great, thanks Ranjan. How can people get in touch with you or Clara Foods?
Yeah, and my email is ranjan@clarafoods.com. And I'm also in LinkedIn. So definitely any email, ranjan@clarafoods.com would reach me.
Perfect, thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Yuki from Integriculture. Hi, Yuki.
Hello. Yeah, just switching to okay. I'm opening my PDF file. Okay, has it loaded?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can see the screen now, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, how does okay, I see how it works. Okay, so I'm Yuki Hanyu, the founder CEO of Integriculture Company, and we are the enabler of several agriculture for all. And for all means literally all. It includes existing farmers, restaurant chefs, individuals, food companies, or several agriculture companies. And we were founded by two scientists, and as well as the entire community of the Shoji Meat project, which is the DIY and cultural meat community, citizen science community in Japan. And as all other presenters have talked about, we have a pressing need for sustainable protein. At the same time, there are some consumer needs that the plant-based protein cannot quite fulfill. So we have cell-based meat, which provides the real meat by cell culture. But at the same time, there's a serious problem with cell-based meat, which is it costs to an unrealistic level. But that is where our Integriculture company's solution comes in, and it is called the counted system. And if you look at why cell cultures being so expensive, it's actually the growth. It's actually the growth factors that being the cost driver. And surprise or not, it takes up about 99% or even higher out of the entire material cost of cell culture meat. And those growth factors, which could also be collectively called hormones. If you look at the natural systems, what we realize that you don't need to go to pharmacy and buy these extremely expensive, like $80,000 hormones to make body cells grow. Cows don't do that, fish don't do that, shrimp don't do that, and the reason is because body organs make those hormones for their own body cells to grow, and that's exactly what we are doing in our technology. And we have feeder cell bioreactors as well as a target cell bioreactor. And the feeder cell bioreactors contain organ cells that produce growth factors within the system to feed the target cell bioreactor, which contains the cultured meat or whatever. And based on this technology, we basically slashed down the cost of cell culture to around 10,000 or even lower, and we're currently on the way to scale this technology. And another feature of this technology is that it is cell type or cell species blind. So it basically converts sugar and amino acids into cells, and the cells could mean meats, foie gras, supplements, cosmetics, and such. And we are collaborating with other companies to build this system, and the collaborations are always open. And we are primarily offering this system to all sectors. Although our primary focus is currently on the cosmetics and food sectors. And we already seeing a good traction, like Shokworks and Nippon Ham and from other sectors. And if you are interested in developing cell agriculture system, we work up a science for scaling. So if anyone's interested in cell agriculture, just drop us a line. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yuki. There was a little bit of a problem with the sound quality, but it was understandable. Hope everyone was able to hear him. Any questions from mentors, please?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please
go ahead, Alejandro.
Yeah,
perfect. So thank you, Yuki. My question is, how are you currently targeting the cosmetics industry? Do you have any key strategic partnerships? And is this a market niche you're gonna double down on, or like really just focus on?
Yeah. So we actually have a demonstration product of cell cultured serum, and which is basically a cell cultured placenta. And it is also a replacement for so-called stem cell serum. And we have the actual serum as a cosmetics ingredient, and we have already launched this product, and that's method one. And the other is there are some cosmetics companies working together with us to develop cell cultured ingredients. Yeah.
This is Sebastian. I have a question regarding, do you have any chance, understand you have a novel process and novel approach, do you have any chance of protecting your IP, or is it more like that you have unique machinery? Like can you talk a little bit about, how unique that is and how you will be able to protect it against other companies trying to copy what you guys are doing, given that there's such a big need in the market for this?
Yeah, so the counted system is patented, But on top of that, even if someone copies the counted system physically, then you still have to know about what feeder cells to culture, at what temperature, at what flow rate, and all those things. And the one who has the experience of using the counted system has the absolute advantage there, and that's us.
Okay, and I have a follow-up question, if I may. We heard before that Clara Foods tries to take a less asset-light approach. Do you have to build your own machinery, and do you have all of the production in-house, or are you also using network partners for the production piece of it? So are you asset-light or more asset-heavy?
Yeah. So we developed this system in collaboration with our partners. And we do have heavy research R&D program in-house, but at the same time we do a lot of collaboration. And for bioreactor part, we collaborate.
Is that all from you, Sebastian?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Yuki. Paige, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a quick question, maybe more on the partnership side. How do your partners or your customers know when they're ready to engage with you? Like, how far down their development process do they need to be?
Well, they can be at even zero. So if there's a company that wants to work on, say, cell cultured lamb meat, like sheep meat, then they can come to us, and we start with feasibility test. And if the result is good, we can go to the next step, and then further down the road, we enter the scaling phase, where we start shipping our bioreactor to the client. And at the end, the client runs a full-scale counted system at their site to produce their own stuff.
Thanks, Yuki. This is exciting. Just to wrap this up, do you have an ask you would like to present to the audience watching, and how can people get in touch with you?
Yes. So we worked out the science to scale our technology. So we do have an active fundraising round, as well as we are always welcoming anyone who want to work together with us to build this cellular agriculture infrastructure universally accessible. And to reach me, I have a LinkedIn account for Integriculture company, and the email info@integriculture.jp.
Perfect. You can also add that in the comments so people can reach out to you. But thanks for joining us. Next, I would like to invite Nicolas from Gourmey. Hi, Nicolas.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Is my microphone working?
Yes.
Yes. Is my screen sharing working?
It is starting. Yes,
right.
We can see it.
You see it full screen, right? Okay, I'll take that for a yes. So, hi everyone, very happy to be on stage and tell you more about our journey at Gourmey. A bit less than 2 years ago, on this very day that you see on this screen, the city of New York took a bold decision against a very famous French delicacy, and I'm sure you can easily guess what I'm talking about. I'm talking about foie gras. So New York on that day decided to simply prohibit this delicacy, actually because of this. And that's called force feeding. And I had to blur the image because obviously this is quite unpleasant to watch, but this is how foie gras is produced all around the globe. And actually more than $2 billion of this so-called delicacy are sold on the market every single year. And it's massive, not only in France, in Spain, or in the US, but also in Japan, as Yuki mentioned, and it's rapidly growing in China. So we have a growing and high margin market with decreasing supply, because more and more countries are actually banning that product for ethical reasons. 17 countries have done so as of now. That's huge. So now just imagine if we could come up with a cruelty-free alternative that is as delicious as the controversial version. Well, that's exactly what we do with our flagship and first product. My name is Nicolas, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Gourmey, and we are developing the first feel-good foie gras by harvesting duck cells instead of force-feeding live birds. So how do we do that? I mean, you're all cultivated meat experts, so I won't be long on that, but in a nutshell, we grow stem cells from a single duck egg or chicken egg like this one. We specialize the cells into the desired cell type, whether it's liver cells, it could be also muscle cells or fat cells. And then we harvest the desired cell type and we would craft our product. So if we take a step back, we at Gourmey have a unique take on the two main challenges of the cultivated meat industry. Obviously, number one is the scale, upscaling, and cost. And our answer here is to bypass scaffolding. So we have a completely scaffold-free approach, which is actually one of the main bottlenecks and cost driver for the entire industry. And we are also using the most scalable cell type. Number two, taste and how to make a delicious product. Well, we leverage state-of-the-art food science know-hows to unleash the full potential of the cells that we grow and give them the best flavor, the best texture, again, without any sort of scaffolding. But let's take a deeper look at what this actually means, because if cultivated meat wants to succeed, it will actually have to be much better than plant-based and bring truly restaurant-grade products, and that's exactly what we are building. So meat and foie gras particularly are very complex products, and thousands of molecules are responsible for their unique taste, their unique flavor, and their unique texture. So you have to deep dive at the molecular level and understand the complex interaction between mostly two compounds, which are proteins and lipids, if you want to match that sophistication, that level of complexity of conventional meat. And that's exactly what we are building at Gourmey. Not only are we building the most scalable cell production platform, but also the most delicious product, really understanding at the deepest level what makes meat or foie gras so special. And foie gras is actually maybe the most refined and more sophisticated meat on the planet when it comes to flavor. And what you see on this slide is one of our prototype. It's already been actually approved by a French Michelin-starred chef. And we believe that that's a testimony to what our team can achieve on essentially any meat product. So now, precisely, foie gras is only the beginning of the journey for us. And because our cells are so versatile, our food science expertise is so versatile as well, our ambition is really broad and we want to become category leader in the poultry segment. So how do we do that? Well, first we start with a very relevant niche market. So foie gras is the most premium of all poultry meats, so very high chances of being at price parity. The good thing is that we also now at taste parity because of the amazing work of the team. And it's essentially the first and perfect product to start with and the perfect flagship product. It will be followed by other premium poultry meat. Think of duck filet or duck magret. And the end game here is to target essentially any category of poultry meat once at full scale. So we do have assembled a very strong team to achieve this ambition. We're now a team of 20 people. We're based in Paris, including an amazing group of highly skilled scientists. Half of them are PhDs, and we have biotech veterans. We have experts in food science, marketing from leading companies such as Nestlé, L'Oréal, or even Hoxton Farms, which you might be familiar with. And we're also fortunate that our initial traction has been validated since we have managed to close a significant seed round that we're actually going to announce in a few weeks from now. And we will be moving into a brand new 13,000 square feet facility in central Paris in September to build our pilot plant, as well as expand our poultry product portfolio. So please, thanks for your attention. And here is my email if you want to get in touch.
Perfect. Thanks, Nicolas. So did you just invite all of us to come visit your new plant in Paris? I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes, it's not ready yet. The revamping work have just started, but let's say September, October, you're all welcome.
Amazing.
It's actually near Père Lachaise in the north of Paris.
Yes. ProteinX attendees get first look.
Please come.
I would like to now invite mentors to ask questions.
I can go ahead. This is Paige. Nicolas, congratulations on your seed round that you're soon to announce. The question that I have is, as you think about foie gras versus some of the poultry products, do you expect that your technology will be scalable without a scaffold, or do you plan to kind of incorporate some type of scaffold technology as you scale up?
No, we're definitely looking at anything that is, let's say, post-harvest or outside of the bioreactor. So mostly looking at texturization techniques that do not happen within the bioreactor, because obviously that would require scaffolding, that will require complexity and a huge impact on the COGS. So definitely looking at texturization strategy, but not related to scaffolding.
This is Sebastian. We see a couple of specialization right now, right? There's a company that does lobsters, going after lobster meat. I guess a similar idea, going after high price products, right? Where you can achieve price parity, maybe ideally quicker than with other products, right? I'm gonna ask you again what I asked in the first presentation. What's the rough timeline you think that is feasible for you in order to be able to, reach a price that is acceptable to go out? Like whatever you can share, just to get an understanding of how far out this is.
So the good thing is that our cells, the stem cells that we work with, have actually already been industrialized by the pharma industry. So they already have an industrial track record. And so we know what they're capable of, and we know that current pharma cards are already compatible with foie gras prices, which is actually huge and very distinctive compared to other players that are essentially not really knowing what their cells are capable of because they have never been scaled by anyone else before. So that's the first part of the answer. And now regarding our own agenda, we plan to be the first cultivated meat to launch at price parity. That's our ambition. And that's really allowed by the fact that foie gras is obviously a very premium product. So it's sold at about 150 to 100 euros per kilo or $70 per pound. So yeah, obviously that will be much easier than playing in the more commoditized meat, like whether it's chicken nuggets or other sausages or burgers or whatever. And the timeline, yeah, sorry, I missed the timeline question. We will have first commercializable production batches ready by the end of next year, so by the end of 2022. Obviously, the uncertainty for any cell-based meat companies is the regulatory environment. So assuming the regulators move fast enough on the topic, we could potentially replicate what another friend company from the US called Just has done in Singapore, for instance, with a soft launch in a few partner restaurants. That's also part of the plan.
Okay. So I actually want to follow up on Sebastian's question, and also congratulations on the seed round. I just wanted to follow up a little bit on that. And have you? I mean, you've obviously analyzed it, but what are your thoughts on, sticking to a niche where you've already achieved or where you can achieve parity in a far easier manner, be it foie gras or magret or these different premium meats versus capturing the whole poultry industry? Like, does it make sense to go after that mass market or just stick to an isolated niche or a few isolated niches?
Well, I think you can build a tremendously successful business in one of these isolated niche. Even better if you can combine them. So that's the plan. Obviously, it's not what we do is obviously not limited to foie gras. Foie gras is actually the first application, the first spin-off of our production platform. We think of platform, right? We are working with stem cells. Again, they can be specialized into any cell type. We're working with liver cells first, but we're already working on muscle fat cells. So the application itself is really driven by the market needs and by the price point. And foie gras is a product where you have a huge market gap because the product is so controversial, because it's actually being prohibited. I'm not sure I can think of any other food product that is facing such a high controversy. Potentially the UK, for instance, in a few months or weeks will be announcing that they're also banning imports and the product. So it's a low-hanging fruit for us, obviously starting with this niche. But of course, because our cells are so scalable, we believe that they could also be able, at full scale, to reach even lower prices. It all comes down to the medium, to the size of the bioreactor, to the cell density that you can achieve with the cells. And our cells are very good at that. So I'm very confident that in a few more years, we'll also be able, potentially using less cells, going for hybrid products, being able to target other more, let's say, low-end commoditized verticals and category of products. But I agree with you, you can build a very successful business starting with niche, and that's essentially what we are demonstrating.
That's great, Nicolas. I love the approach of targeting the niche products, and I'm also impressed that there is a no scaffolding technology here. So excited to hear that. And I look forward to tasting the foie gras someday. But is there a question or an ask you would like to propose to the audience?
I get three things. Number one is that although we have recently closed the seed round, we'll be raising again another round by the end of this year. So always happy to engage with mission-aligned investors that could potentially support us and be interested in what we do. And second thing would be, obviously, we have 10 very exciting openings So if you're a scientist in stem cell science, in bioprocessing, in food engineering, please come and talk to me. And my email is quite straightforward. It's nicolas@gourmey.com.
Amazing. Anyone looking for scientific jobs? I don't think there was a better place and time than today, here, right now, to connect with these incredible startups doing great work. With that, I think our session is coming to a close. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the startups and all the mentors for being here today, and for the attendees who joined in live. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's really great to see, the development of the startups and the feedback from the mentors. It's great to see, people coming together to develop the topic of alternative protein.